London AIM-listed fertiliser producer Harvest Minerals, which has operations in Brazil, has seen its shares come off the boil recently, but it's delivering. And there was excess demand to its placing earlier on in the summer. The Chief Operating Officer is Mark Hayhoe, and he joins us now. Congratulations on the placing, because I know that was a startling success. I say the shares have come off a bit, but any recent highs that we've seen in the share price, and of course you're operating in Brazil, and we know a lot about Brazil. We'll talk a little bit about that later on, but the operations so far, what's the updated news from Harvest?
Well, I mean, we spent the last sort of 3 years transforming the business. We've gone from an exploration company to development into production, and now we're revenue generative. First revenue came in at the end of last year. This year, we've sort of focused really on sales growth and revenue generation. So we signed 2 major contracts this year, one for 36,000 tonnes and one to 50,000 tonnes, both to distributors. We started delivering against those. The first one in May, the second will be later on this month. We'll start delivering into that, and those will continue for the next 12 months. To do that, we had a bit more working capital requirement because those orders were bigger than we were kind of expecting, and we needed to finish off the expansion to our processing plant to take it up to 320,000 tonnes, which is why we did the placing back in June.
Which was, as I said, was oversubscribed. Yeah. How pleased were you the outcome of that? Because clearly there were a lot of investors wanting a piece of the pie. Yeah,
I mean, it was a surprise. I mean, when you start, you never know how these things are going to go. I mean, we had a lot of positive feedback during the actual roadshow. We had a lot of meetings. Arden and Shard did a really good job in arranging all that for us. It went really well. And then when the orders came back, we were, yeah, pleased. You're always pleased when you get these things away.
How much did you raise?
£9.65 million.
And what's that going to be going on? Because that was more than you initially anticipated.
Yeah, I mean, initially we were looking for a expand the plant, finish off that, and a bit of working capital to be able to produce the product we could actually sell on. Part of that, we've been able to use some of that to do a bit more of the infrastructure work we required, a bit more work around the processing plant and the storage facilities. But really, having that cash on the balance is good because twofold. A, it demonstrates to our customers that we've got the cash to support the business, and all our distributor partners know that we're going to be around for a while. And at the moment, we're putting in place a lot of the things we need to do to reflect the fact we're a grown-up company.
Any chance of profitable result this year ultimately, do you think, or is it too early?
Yeah, I mean, we have got a highly profitable business. We are very low cost. Our product is an organic natural fertiliser. You just crush it. It's a larva you just crush on site, very low cost, and apply it directly to your crops. It's very low cost. The margins are high. On the back of the sales we've had this year, we should be profitable by the end of this year at some point. And then, the idea now is to keep on growing that.
What's the pipeline look like for the future? Where do you go with the business from here?
Yeah, I mean, both of those contracts with distributors. We got the first orders first deliveries against the first 36,000 contracts started in May. The 50,000 tonnes is due to start later this month, and both of those will roll on for the next sort of 12 months. The processing plant, as I said, was upgraded. That was commissioned in July. We managed to get our executive directors out there in August once everything was, make sure everything's perfect for them, and they were really impressed in what we've achieved there. And now the focus is really on supporting those guys, delivering to those contracts, because we need to make those a success. We spend a lot of time on technical support for those guys and supporting their sales team, so they can over the next year, rest of this year, sell into those, get their clients on board, because it's all about at the end of the day getting the end customer, the farmer, to buy the product. We'll get those guys on board so that next year they come back, repeat their orders, grow it, and that'll attract more distributors. However, in the short term, what we've been doing, we signed a strategic agreement with another group called Geocycle, who are another fertiliser producer. That gives us access to their sales team and also their marketing team, because what we need to do is work on strengthen our marketing. We're opening up new markets, particularly in pasture. These guys are particularly strong in sugarcane, and we're doing a lot of work with them on how we target the sugarcane industry. We will be doing more agronomic works to demonstrate the effectiveness of our products. We are doing open days, so end users, farmers can come to visit site and look at what we're doing and see how it all works and see the benefits of the product. And what we'll see over the next few months is you won't see any more of those big orders from the distributors, because we're targeting the end users at the moment. They'll come back, they'll buy small orders, come back in later on and buy bigger orders, and we need to build a growing and sustainable business.
And you've just announced a new Chief Financial Officer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's part of going back to the fundraise where we try to institutionalise the business. We're maturing as a business. We've gone from being an exploration company with just a small amount of cash, which is always drifting out the door, to being a business. We're cashed up now. We're mature. We've got revenue coming in. We need to put in place all the corporate structures in place which institutions expect, and that's all part of that process, and that'll continue for the rest of the year because we need to get to a point where we've got structures in place to support the continued growth of the business.
I'm going to bring up the share price and take a look at where we are. This is the daily share price. This goes back to 2016 when shares were at just shy of 4 pence. Here we are now at 15.5 pence a share. As I said, during the summer we had been up, I think, over 22 pence a share, but you've seen this little bit of a drift lower. What's going on and what's priced in the business? And you're a 30 million sterling market cap company at the moment. Where do you see this going? I mean, as a chief operating officer, clearly you don't have any direct influence over the share price itself, but what are you doing to encourage investors that this is going to march higher again?
I mean, we're kind of just getting over the summer lows. We did a big placement back in June, which means we're cashed up. People know we don't need to come back to the market to raise any more money. Partly it's a reflection of what's been happening in the wider market and in the wider economy. We are largely insulated from that. We're in Brazil. We're producing fertiliser in Brazil for the Brazilian market. We actually benefit from the appreciation of the US dollar at the moment because we're investing, expanding our plant, which means we get more bang for our buck. We're selling domestically. Imports into Brazil of fertiliser, it's the biggest cost for the end users. They're more expensive, so it's actually cheaper and more effective to use our products. And agriculture is the biggest part of the economy in Brazil, so they're benefiting now. So we should see an uplift in price when people caught on to that fact. And then generally, we'll see revenue coming through in the interims from the first sales, and people sit up and say, okay, these guys, they're cashed up, they're proper mature business, institutional shareholder register, and a revenue business and profitable.
So you're generally insulated from the potential recession that I'm hearing about the Brazilian economy. How about politics? There's an election, I believe, a little bit later on this year expected in Brazil. Politically, is there support for this sort of project? Oh,
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there's been a switch over in the last few years from being a particularly mining industry, particularly iron ore, into agriculture. Agriculture is now the bulk of the economy. And they're only flying the ointment for that because Brazil's got lots of land and lots of water and lots of sun, and all the things you need is a lack of fertiliser. So we import about 90% of their potash and 60% of their phosphate. So the government's aware of that, wants to benefit, change the balance of deficit in the payments, and is keen to stimulate domestic fertiliser production, and we've been a beneficiary of that.
Okay, look, it's an interesting story. Thanks indeed for updating us on where we are in terms of the moves at the moment and the share price and the company performance. That's the Chief Operating Officer of fertiliser company Harvest Minerals, Mark Hayhoe.